Welcome back to Black Like Me, the podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, is Harvey. And with us, of course, is the other co-host, Josh. Tell him who you are.
Hey,
What you
what's up, everybody? It's Josh, aka J Time. I am one of the co hosts of Black Like Me, and I'm also one of the co hosts of Toontastic Journeys, and a frequent guest, basically a co host on the Masturbators Bracket Review Show. And speaking of which, we have a special guest with us today.
Hello. I am Diandre Robinson, or Lord Diandre Robinson as well. Uh, I am the host of Masturbators and everything that comes with it. So, Masturbators Review Show, Masturbators presents 101s, 212s, 313s, and formerly Masturbator presents the 3 count, which I am thinking about bringing it back, actually, God's truth.
I would
Um,
love that.
uh,
Me
so,
too.
uh,
Yeah.
so everything that has masturbators under it, masturbators since black casting, all that kind of good stuff. All the umbrellas, and a member of the I Did Not Make These Rankings podcast network. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thanks
Yeah,
for coming
pleasure.
through. It was about time.
hmm
So, this episode 3, and if the first time you are watching or listening, this idea came about because we were talking about the term Oreo, being referred to as an Oreo, which is, black on the outside, white on the inside, a really negative racist kind of comment, and we've all felt that in some kind of way, in some fashion. This particular episode, we're going to talk about something I'm sure all of us black men or black people in general have dealt with. And the episode before this, we had Kendra on, and she kind of mentioned it real quick, and I'm like, this fits. So I'm
hmm
going to start talking about it like this. This podcast is about perception. It is about how we are seen by other people and how we see ourselves. Whether we're intelligent because we sound good or we sound white because we sound good. All these things that are said about us. But perception let's focus on perception, how other people see us. We have pretty much dominated sports. When I say we, I mean black people. We have dominated sports for a long time. Once you let us in, we come in, we take the game over. Whether it's golf with Tiger, whether it's basketball with everybody, whether it's tennis with the Williams sisters, once we are allowed, once we are able to be a part of something, we tend to come in and do well. Now, we would say it's just because, we're allowed, we're included. That's not what everybody thinks. In the 80s, and I'm not going to give a specific date because it's not even worth doing all that, there was a journalist named Jimmy the Greek, and he had some words to say about black athletes. Now, the conversation was really more about how come there are not a lot of black owners of teams, why not a lot of black managers and general managers of baseball teams, stuff like that. But it eventually led to some commentary that he made, and here's what it is. The black, by the way, the black is how we started it. The black is a better athlete to begin with because he's been bred that way, because of his high thighs and big thighs that go up into his back, and they can jump higher and run faster because of their bigger thighs. You see, I'm telling you that the black is the better athlete, and he practices. Hold on, I had to. And he practices going all the way back to the Civil War, when during the slave trading, the slave owner would breed his big woman so that he would have a big black kid. See, that's where it all started. Black athleticism, in in the eyes of a lot, we're better athletes because we're black. We're better athletes because we are built to run the ball faster, to dribble the ball faster, but we're not smart enough to lead a team of athletes. So that's where I kind of wanted to start. Perception of us as black people is that we're athletes, which is why for the longest time there were no black quarterbacks, because we were the athletes on the field, but damn sure we can't manage the team. We can't come up with the plays or anything, but we're the athlete, which is why we would never own anything. We can't be the product and own the product too. So I wanted to talk about perception because it leads to my story. I'm 5'6" and black. I suck at basketball. Let's just get that out the way. I'm
Mhm.
ass. I can dribble the ball. That's about it. But I got picked first for every pickup game of basketball. Wonder why? Why was I always picked first? And then these people were thoroughly disappointed when they saw I didn't have. Once they assumed the jumper was good and that I was going to dunk on somebody, but that's not the case. And while I can laugh about it now, with Black athleticism, with being Black, we are perceived to be athletes automatically just because of the color of our skin. So I didn't have a story. That was just kind of general statement. Let's start with I guess, D.
Mhm.
Is that ever something that you've dealt with as a Black man in terms of Black athleticism?
It's the reverse for me, kind of sure. So where I'm from, so if you know me and you listen or watch Master Bidders, you know that I live in Portland or the Portland area. Um, that was only for about I've lived in Oregon for at least the last 7 years. And I'm 36 years old. I lived in Philly or Pennsylvania for most of my life. Everyone was good at sports. Bro. Everyone was good at sports. It wasn't that you picked because I was Black. No, because everybody I knew was Black. But everybody was good at sports though. And here's the thing, the bad thing is we had to be. Because and Harvey's from Jersey, right?
New
So
York.
New York, Jersey, that area, that little area, you know for a fact that there you only really only have three options to do. You go to sports, you go to ball route, you go to hood route, you go to nerd route. A lot of people going that nerd route. So everyone picked up a ball, either football or basketball. I practiced a lot to be as good as I was in football. I practiced a lot because it wasn't basketball. I ran a lot, trained a lot, so good because it wasn't track and field. So that time, that time you wanted. I wasn't picked first because I was Black. Because there was people better than me and they were Black. All right, I wasn't picked first, uh, and for some reason, sports came natural to me. Basketball outside of golf. I can't golf for shit. I can't golf for anything. But for me, sports came natural to me. I was second team all conference football. I won the championship for basketball. I played college basketball. It came natural to me. So it was the opposite. I had to play sports because I was Black. Not people picked me because I was Black.
Mm.
Okay. All right. Josh, what's your experience been?
Very similar to you, Harvey. I was not good at sports at all. My hand-eye coordination since I was a young child has been terrible. So whether it was football, baseball, or basketball, wasn't good. And because of it, just like you, people would pick me, assuming I'd be good at it, and then I'd be terrible. And I got made fun of by everybody, Black kids, white kids, whoever, because like, how you can't play basketball? like, like what's going on, Josh? You're supposed to be good at this. And unfortunately, because I was not good at it when I was young, I did not develop interest in it at all. So I didn't watch sports. I didn't watch basketball. Didn't watch football. I didn't watch baseball. Instead, I was busy watching other stuff, cartoons, watching movies because it just wasn't an interest to me because I had such a negative connotation because I wasn't good at it. I got made fun of for it, so I didn't care. Instead, I kind of started, I did the opposite. When something's beyond your reach, sometimes you start to dislike it to the point where you have an issue with it. And so, like, for me, I was like, oh, you jocks, it's not even fun. It's boring. It's just people throwing balls around. It's more important things, better things to do, you know. And that lasted until I was older. Once I got to high school, started kind of getting into basketball a little bit, got into football a little bit. And I love watching sports now. I watch just about anything. Uh, But yeah, very much I was not good.
So I feel like we've got like different experiences with it. So DeAndre, to a degree, you almost fit the stereotype.
Mm.
You the black guy, and you're a good player. I suck at basketball, but I was good at football because when I was younger, I was fast. I could outsprint most people, so I can catch the ball. That was it. But once I caught the ball, that was it. Touchdown, and then I'm done for the rest of the half because I had no endurance at all. So that's about it. None. But what's interesting, I guess, when we talk about black athleticism, and you mentioned it, is that for a lot of kids, playing sports was just something they did on the side. It was their extracurricular activity. And that can be a lot of white kids or just non-black kids who played soccer because they wanted to, or because it would look good on the college application, or they did the golf team, or they played basketball, they played football. But then they would go to college and they might do something else. While for us, a lot of us, it's our way out. For us, it's not extracurricular activities, it's necessity. It's maybe my parents didn't go to college. Maybe their parents didn't go to college, and I'm the first one who can get in, who can get that scholarship, and who can go play some Division II or Division III school, and I can get a college degree, I can get a degree, and maybe play a sport. It was fun for some, but it's life for a lot of black people. And and that's the thing. So I love watching sports. I'm a huge baseball is my favorite sport. They didn't like black people for a long time. To a degree, they still don't. Then it's football, same thing. Even though we dominate in terms of who plays, everything is like that. When we look at sports, we weren't involved. We weren't allowed in, and then when we were allowed in, we took it over. In most cases, is there a sense of pride for you guys? For example, did either one of you watch or even care about golf before Tiger Woods?
Well, I was 10 or 11. Right. Like I was young, and no, I did not care about golf. But gosh, I don't care about golf now. Even though I'm trying to pick it up now to see if I can. Like when I go to the driving range, they have never what's called a stick. What's that thing called? the
golf club. Yeah,
the club. Yeah, they have a club that's big enough for me. I'm 6'3", and they're all. So I know I'm not good at it. So golf was never. There's certain sports that I was never interested in. Golf is one of them. NASCAR or racing another one. That I was never interested in when I was younger. So, and golf was one of them. And so even with Tiger, I mean, yay, Tiger, number one. But even with Tiger, I didn't really gravitate to golf as well. Also because Tiger didn't really, in his words, he didn't claim black. So Tiger didn't claim black. We claimed him. He didn't claim us. So that is another thing that pulled me further from golf as well, because the person that we looked up to as a black person, they're doing well. He did one, if not the best golf player of all time. He didn't claim us. So it's hard to gravitate to someone that don't want you.
What about you, Josh?
Yeah, I was terrible at golf too. Like I remember going to putt golf and just, man, I was bad. And so when Tiger came on the scene, it was like, oh, that's cool. We got somebody, but I didn't get really into it because I didn't really watch or anything. I just thought it was kind of neat. I was like, oh, okay, Tiger Woods, let's go. And then like DeAndre said, when it got to that point where he wasn't really claiming being black and we kind of fall off with him because of that, I didn't really care anymore at all.
How interesting is it when a black person gets into sports and they become big? The bigger the black person is in their particular sport, the less threatening they become to the masses, almost making them white to a degree. Now, for Tiger, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Both of his parents aren't black. His father was black. His mother,
Asian.
Right. So that was so I think what he was trying to do was to claim both. But as we all know, as Black men, every one of us has a moment when we are reminded that we are Black.
Mhm.
And when his wife kicked his ass, I don't feel like they said anything about him being a Blasian or whatever. That's a Black golfer who's cheating on his wife that did all that. We are reminded, you're Oprah. You could be the richest Black woman in the world, but they won't you. You're gonna be in France. You're gonna try to go into some store and they saw a
And they
Black
say
woman,
no.
and they say no. We can try to like no, we don't see color. People do, and they
Well, I
always
remember
will.
when that happened. I remember when he lost all the sponsors. I remember people saying that. They're like, "Yeah, you Black now."
Mhm. Yeah,
Like
and
you Black now. Look at you.
yeah, they remind you situations. I was trying to think of that. So that's golf. And then tennis is interesting in terms of there's been Black stars, but obviously the Williams sisters are who we can claim in terms of sports. And not only are they Black, but they're Black women. So that makes it even more interesting in terms of what they do in coming into sports. So was there any connection for you guys when we saw the sisters come up and kind of slowly grow up, play, and become dominant? Did it make you, I don't know, did you watch tennis before? Did you watch after because of them? What was your vision of tennis right up until maybe the sisters came along, and what is it now?
So the Williams sisters changed my way of thinking for tennis, especially from living in Philly. So our playgrounds used to have, when I was younger, used to have tennis courts, but then those bitches got ripped down. So just like a big ass court, and no, that's supposed to be tennis in there. Um, and with Venus and Serena doing what they did, which shout out to them both. Probably Serena Williams probably is the greatest tennis player of all time. Um, it changed my mental a little bit. I did try to go out to try to play tennis after I saw Serena one time when I was younger. So, oh man, and I was a little sexist when I was younger as well. So well, Black women could do it. I could do it too. That was a whole lie and a half. It was a whole lie and a half. So it made me, it humbled me too to see what something that I can't do very well that she can do very well. It humbled me, and I started watching more, getting excited for more for Wimbledon and U.S. Open and all the other events to see people that would look like my sister or my mother or my aunts dominating in a sport that wouldn't even have people that look like my aunts or my sister or people that in my neighborhood. So it changed me for a little bit.
How about you, Josh?
It really it didn't change me as far as wanting to play tennis, but it definitely made me pay more attention to tennis and what was going on. And it was very much a proud moment to see these Black women grow up and become phenoms in the field. Some of the best players to ever play the game, men and women included. Um, and you saw it reflected in media because you started seeing tennis being shown in more Black shows up to the point where like we have a whole show, All American Homecoming, that's about Black people playing sports, and the main sport featured there is tennis. So, I definitely saw that impact. But as far as a personal impact, it didn't have much.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. So we talked about golf, we talked about tennis. I stayed away from the big ones because so baseball, obviously, we had Jackie Robinson. So this sport very much still doesn't like Black people, and I don't think it ever will. Jackie Robinson came in, he played, he went through a lot of ish just to be allowed to play and to play. His life was threatened. He was cursed everywhere he played. All the events. First, we don't even want Black people to play. What I was thinking about is the dichotomy of why we don't want Black people to play our sport, but there are people who also think that we're built to play sports.
Well,
We
in
don't want you in,
baseball,
Yeah,
Mhm.
but the whole idea, like even that quote I read earlier, that people were not intelligent enough to lead. We're not leaders. You know, you got these kids who are playing football in college, but when it's time for them to come to the NFL, instead of them potentially being drafted as quarterbacks because they don't think they can handle, they don't have the mental capacity to be the quarterback for a team, they'll try to push them to be a wide receiver or running back, the more athletic spot, as
Mhm.
opposed to the more mental position of quarterback. And now, if you look at football, some of the best quarterbacks in the game are black, and the whole everything about what was said before that black men couldn't be quarterbacks because we're just better athletes now is what the good quarterbacks are now, are athletes and intelligent. We have a
Right.
way of we change everything. I mean, 1980, Doug Williams was the first black man
Mhm.
to win the Super Bowl as a black quarterback. I was reading up on him. He was getting paid $120,000 a season, and he was the starting quarterback for the Redskins. There were 12 other backup quarterbacks in the league who were getting paid more than him,
Mhm.
and he was the starting quarterback. Sports and black, there's this dichotomy with us, is how we don't want you to be a part of it, but we want to be like you in the sport.
Right, right. And
So,
real quick, going back to baseball, and you talking about Jackie Robinson, I mean, even in the late 90s, that stuff was still going on. I have
Mhm.
a cousin who played pro baseball for many, many years and was pretty good at it. And he tells me stories all the time of like when he was in the pros and he had to go places, and it would be people on his own team, people on the other team, fans calling him the N word, calling him names. He was like, I had to take that in, and I used it. And I loved it because every time I would do good, I'd steal a base, I'd do this. It pissed him off. And you kind of just have to take that in and you have to use it because nobody was going to do anything about it, And so it's a shame that that stuff still goes on in sports. And like you said, not only are we not viewed as good enough to be intelligent, which we proved them wrong, but definitely not viewed good enough to own it. Yeah, we might dominate the NBA, but how many owners are black in the NBA?
Well, in full time owners, like majority owners, not
Yeah,
partial.
majority.
I think there's only one majority owner, and that's Jordan. I think, and that's for the
he used to be.
He
I'm pretty
was.
sure
He stepped
he's
down.
was so down. So that means there's none majority owners in the NBA that are black.
Right. And we know how some of them feel about us. I mean, I don't know if any of y'all watched that show Clipped that talked about Donald Silver
I
and
lived
that
it.
whole situation. I lived that situation. I
Mhm.
remember I was tied to my computer wondering what they were going to do. I wanted them to boycott it so bad. But that whole situation, and you hear about the NFL and some of those owners and how they do view us as resources, you know. And that's just, it's such a sad thing to see that here we are making them all this money, and yet we're still not good enough to join the club and actually own stake in it.
The more I look at sports, especially the NFL, and we can talk about football, the more I look at football, the more I see slavery in it.
Mm-hmm.
If you really look at it, we're making a whole lot of money for the people who own us, who pay us.
Right.
How different is the combine where you go out there and show all your athletic skills, whether how high you can jump, they get to have you in shorts, get a look at you. How different is that from slavery, where they just have you standing on the stage and people bid to buy the black man back then?
Oh, yeah.
So
So
yeah, go ahead.
a good book for you to read is $40 million $40 million Slave by William Roden. It has all that we're saying right now. It's how basically you can compare slavery to being a top pro athlete. It's a really really good book. $40 million Slave.
Believe it.
Mm-mm-mm.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Well, and as long as we play the game, keep our mouth shut, and we're good off the field, then we're okay. But the minute we want to say something to stand up for ourselves, we got a problem. You take a player, he kneels down, gives praise to God. Oh man, he loves God. He's such an awesome person. You got a player take a kneel to make a point and protest stuff that's going on to black people, he ain't played in the NFL since.
Yeah.
Also, also, people don't realize this as well, that it wasn't just him that people when Colin Kaepernick did his kneeling, and all the other players did his kneeling, they were saying that, hey, it's disrespectful to our men and women that are in the armed forces, not knowing that it was a man from the armed forces that told Colin Kaepernick to do this. It wasn't just off his brain. He literally was talking to someone that was in, I think, the Marines, and he said, you should do this. And he did.
So something to consider when it comes to sports is I think this country considers sports a safe space.
Yes.
And a space where no politics type of thing, which is what goes on with Kaepernick and a whole lot of the kneeling and not being around for the Star Spangled Banner or that stuff. And this country doesn't want their athletes black while they're playing. They don't want them to talk about being black while they're playing because human rights, black rights, civil rights are not part of the game. All I want to see is 5 black men standing there playing basketball. I don't want to hear about their struggle. I don't want to know what they're going through. This is just sports. And I always hate when they say that politics, because I don't think that's politics. Civil rights are not politics to me. Civil rights are basic human rights.
Basic rights.
But when it comes to, so sports is supposed to be just a space. I've had a hard day. I work hard. I came home. I just want to watch the Bulls and the Lakers play. And then somebody comes out and have a Black Lives Matter shirt on. Why do I have to see that? Why are there all these politics and blah, blah, blah. And it feels like I want the blackness that makes you the best athlete, but not the blackness that allows you to talk about the struggles that you've gone through.
Selective blackism.
Selective blacks. So what they want, what the people want to hear, what they want to, this comes completely off the point, and it makes me think, and somebody, might have been one of you guys in our group chat, had mentioned or asked if Martin Luther King Jr. would have been president in this country. That was you. And it occurs to me, no, it would have never happened. Never, because this country absolutely hated him. So they kind of loved, his idea of the civil rights thing up until it would have been time to lead the country. Then it would have been a whole different thing. We like pieces of your blackness, not all of it.
And I hate that as well too, because people love, especially nowadays when we were doing our protests, and sometimes our protests came with riots, and people, and the biggest thing I heard was, "What will Martin Luther King do?" And my brain went to, you hated Martin Luther King. like it doesn't matter what way he would have did or not. You actually hated him to the far way that you shot him in the face. All right, you shot him, and you try to discredit his name beforehand by making sure that he know that he was a cheater on his wife. And then you want me to think about what he would do because we are doing something he wouldn't do that made you shoot him in the first place. It was a weird dynamic with MLK and people of this country.
Oh, 100%. I mean, let's be real. A lot of the people now that are okay with him and like him because he's safe, because he's dead.
Go. That's it. That's it. That's the best way to look at it. What you also have is a lot of people who would like to throw, and I didn't mean for us to kind of veer into civil rights, but that's kind of what happens. The people who quote Martin Luther King now don't know Martin Luther King then. Martin Luther King is not the pacifist that everybody thinks that he was. He was around the same time with Malcolm. Malcolm was more like, I'm gonna have my gun or whatever, but Martin was on that route too. Started with, we'll just eye for an eye, cheek for a cheek, whatever. But Martin Luther King recognized that sometimes peace doesn't always work.
Mm-hmm.
So we like and this is not just sports, but in all facets of entertainment, we like our Black people safe.
Yeah.
We like our actors safe. We like Will Smith. We love Denzel because that's just a straight, calm Black man. And Will kind of lost that. But we like our people this specific way because they don't talk about that struggle. No, we're past that. We're in a non-racist society. We've gone past all that. And I think sports is the perfect arena to remind people that racism is around, that we're here to entertain
100%.
you. It's here. We're here to make you smile, to dunk, to make you happy, to make that shot for you to win money when you put money up for this game.
Mm-hmm.
But God forbid I kneel down during the Star Spangled Banner, then whoa, I don't want that black. No. I want the athletic black guy. I don't want the black guy.
Yeah. That's
And
when you get that shut up and play.
Shut up and play. Shut up and dribble.
Shut up and dribble.
Shut up and dribble. That's LeBron got to deal with that. And LeBron is it. He is the safest Black man up until he started talking about stuff. Then he got ish. So sports is a safe, it's a safe haven for some of us because we can be athletes, make a lot of money, take care of our families as long as we toe the line.
Mm-hmm.
As long as we do what we're told. When we step outside of out of the squared circle, if you're in wrestling, or off the court, if it's basketball, being Black means being the Black athlete, but not entirely the whole Black man.
Mm.
We want the piece of you, not all of you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the feeling that I got because I don't know. I felt like at times I don't know, and I'll ask you this as we kind of wind down here. In terms of sports, did you feel less Black if you weren't good at every sport? Now, Diandre, obviously, this doesn't cover you because he was good in everything. But for me and Josh, I'll start with you, Josh. I think you kind of mentioned it, but how did it affect you personally to I guess for people to expect something and to not live up to it?
Oh, I definitely felt less Black. I mean, here are my Black family members, Black friends, a lot of the Black people I know who are good at sports. Like I said, I have members in my family that were pros. I had lots of family members. We'd be at family events, and the uncles and stuff would all be watching basketball. And a lot of the cousins would too, and I'd kind of be watching it, but I didn't know what was going on. And when I did play, I got made fun of a lot. Like I said, by both the Black kids and the white kids and everybody else. I heard, "You're Black, Josh. You're supposed to be good at that." Things of that nature. So not being good at sports definitely made me feel less in touch with the Black side.
I know that feeling. Did it make you feel more Black, DeAndre, when you was just super good?
No. No, because here's the thing. And again, this is the opposite of
right.
This is why we are different.
Right.
Everybody where I'm from was good at a sport. The only time it made me feel less Black if somebody was white that was better than me. That was legitimately it. And then worse than white people that was better than me. Like for high school, I went to a mixed boarding school. I mean, there was a lot of Black people in that school. There was a lot of white people throwing some Latin and Asian cultures. There was a big mix of it. But we was in the middle of PA. So our district was all white. I mean, it was legitimately the only time we played a Black school was Still High, which was in the Harrisburg area, and that's it. Still, that was still. And if the person in front of me could block me, that was my skin color,
damn,
I would get upset. I was I was second team on conference. If you could block me, I'm fucked up, and you can, and no way hell you can block me. So that's when I felt less Black if a white person was better than me. The thing will go for basketball as well. Again, the district we were in, predominantly white. we busted everybody ass outside of Trinity, and that's when I felt lessons because Trinity had two of the best white people I've ever seen in my goddamn life in basketball at the time, and they bust our ass. But we always did well, and which made me think about what you just said about being black and doing well, because our football team was predominantly black. It was. Our basketball team was predominantly black. We had Tyler, but we had Tyler, who's the white, and Corey, who was white, and that was it. Everybody else was just black for basketball as well. For our football team, we had a linebacker that was white. And then that was it. That was it. Mind you, there was more white people than black people in that school. So, and we took over both of those sports, and we won. We was district champions for football. We were district champions for basketball. We went to states for both. Like we were very, very good. So it's kind of a fucked up feeling now to think about it. We're just mostly black, and then we go so far. But to answer your question, I only felt less black if a white person was better than me.
Now, real quick, I want to add something. Because unlike what Diandre experienced, where a lot of times people didn't have a choice but to be good, I was born and raised in Portland, Oregon. And while Portland, Oregon does have areas that are considered hood, we do have gang violence and we do have people that sell. It's very soft compared to what people experience, especially on the East Coast, and so growing up, it never felt like I had to be good at it to succeed. And I didn't meet many people that were in that situation of I have to be good at sports. Otherwise, my only other options are maybe to like do something illegal or to just be a complete nerd and be an outcast. So that made it a little easier because it wasn't, I had to do this. Now, maybe if I had to, I would have practiced more and been somewhat better. Probably not, but I do want to put that out there.
Okay. One thing I think it's fair to mention is this kind of goes both ways in terms of sports. And D, you mentioned it. While there's a certain expectation that we're going to be better, the inverse of that is the expectation that the white kids or the non-black kid isn't going to be as good as us.
Right.
And we have to be fair about that. For people to assume that we're good because of this, and then to look at somebody else who's this and expect to be better, to be offended if they're better, because it says a lot. And I think for me, I got a lot of shit for white kids when they found out I wasn't good, but I got just as much shit from black kids when they found out I wasn't good. And that's we perpetuate it. I don't want to just be seen as just this great athlete, but if I'm thinking, I see this white kid and I can beat him, then I'm pretty much saying, yeah, that's what I am. I'm automatically an athlete just because I'm this. So when we look at situations, when we see how we are perceived in sports, how we perceive ourselves, how we perceive the people we're taking on, we kind of have a hand in it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got one quick story. So back in high school, my junior year, we go to districts and we win the whole district championship, but we played this team, Lancaster Catholic. Beat them, but they had a really, really good kid, Jacob Iati. Jacob Iati was fucking amazing. He was a good kid. I wasn't the star of my team. I was a DN3 guy. If you know basketball, you know what DN3 means. I played defense, I could shoot. That's what I could do. I was on Jacob Iati. He didn't score that much. We beat him in districts. They made it so far they can go to states with us. We had to play him again in states. Did it again. Played Jacob Iati. He scored a little bit on me, but he didn't score that much. Was busting his ass. And then this Asian kid was busting another player. So he had to switch on the Asian kid. As soon as he switched, Jacob Iati went off. Like he just went off. This man went off. He scored 47 points that game.
Damn.
He went off. And by the time my coach said go back on him, he still was on fire. I couldn't do shit about what happened on that second half. He went off, and that pissed me off to the point of fact that I did get shit from everybody. I got shit from when we lost to Jacob Yachty. I cried my eyes out, I'm not gonna lie. And I got shit from everybody, from black players, black students, white students, that, hey, he wasn't supposed to do that to you. He wasn't supposed to do that to you. It's what it is. And it humbled me. That moment, that it humbled me. One, because again, I never cried for sports ever in my life until we lost that game. Two, they're players of other races and genders, by the way, which says, well, that can be better than you. That can be better than you as well. So that moment, that game humbled the shit out of me, with knowing that just because you're a different color doesn't mean that I'm going to be better than you or worse than you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now,
go for it, man.
I know it's not a sport necessarily, but for me, it's probably one of my favorite sports. I know y'all like it too. But wrestling and pro wrestling, it's interesting because we've always had this view put on us as black folks that we are big, strong, competitive athletes. And yet it hasn't been until like the last 20 years that we really start to see an influx of black champions and black stars in pro wrestling. You know, and a lot of that had to do with actual prejudice and some racism of, you know, keeping black people down. I mean, there are plenty of people that were black that wrestled in like the 70s and 80s that probably should have been champions. If they were around today, they would be champions, but weren't.
If you think about wrestling fits, it very well fits this subject. If you think about up until recently, if you think about black stars, I'm older than both of you, so I know. We had stars like The Rock's father. If you've seen him, he was a beast. He was cut up. He was ridiculous. Junkyard Dog, before he ended up getting older and pick up weight, was cut up. He was a beast.
Man, Ahmed Johnson, even though he did become a champion, you know.
Yeah, Tony Atlas, even before Tony Atlas was another one, absolute beast. Black men, there's this look to black men, the muscles, we fit that. But there weren't a lot of those, maybe not as built wrestlers, but who were better workers type of thing. Black wrestlers fit a look.
Oh, yeah.
And it took a while. And I mean, there are some, but like Ernie Ladd wasn't a big muscular. He was tall and he had played football and he was a heel, and that so he kind of fit that. But if you think about the black champions that we had, either they have the look or they can talk. A specific kind of black talk, which is why The Rock blew up, because of the
because he was safe.
He was, the way he talked was, and he was good, and he's great in the ring.
He was undeniable. Yeah.
But when it comes to black athletes, black wrestlers, there's something that kind of, we fit the prejudice when it comes into wrestling.
And you know, when they are like I'll tell you right now, I'm a big WWE fan, and ever since Triple H has taken over creative, I really like the direction they've gone in, except for I feel like almost every one of the black wrestlers on that roster have suffered and gone on a downtrend to a degree under his leadership.
Thank you.
Bianca has not been where she needed to be at. She's been paired with Jade. Bobby Lashley ain't even in the company. The Hurt Business was one of the best things they had going, and they were dominating. And all of a sudden, they split them up. And I thought with Triple H, they put them back together. No, Street Profits, they ain't doing nothing. They kind of got something going on with the New Day, but they ain't really doing anything. And it's like, come on now. And I can't help but think back to that feud with him and Booker T and some of the stuff I heard about behind the scenes and wonder how much of it is true.
So I'm glad you said that, because you was going on with black athletes, and black wrestlers, professional wrestlers. But today, and I'm a big wrestling fan. I just don't watch the WWE. I watch everything: TNA, AEW, New Japan, and you know, there's more black there's more black champions in New Japan than there is in WWE.
I believe it. I believe it.
As of right now, there is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's the black champ?
Right.
They have one or two in New Japan right now that are black, and it is more black champions now. Now again, what everybody knows is that yes, WWE is scripted. I'm never going to call it fake.
Yes.
All professional wrestling is scripted, so we could easily get a black champion in any promotion, and there are 3 or 4 in AEW right now, or two in AEW, at least 2 in AEW now. Right now, there's 1 or 2 in TNA, and then there's 1 or 2 in New Japan. There's 0 in WWE.
Nope, none right now. It's ridiculous, and not just champions, stars being pushed as stars. And you have wrestlers to come in and could be a big star. I mean, Bianca headline 3 WrestleManias in a row, 3 of them, and now look at her.
But even before Triple H, though, they did black wrestlers dirty.
They did. Dirty. Absolutely.
Going off Bianca lost SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Was it 22 seconds or 5 seconds, something like that?
Oh yeah, Becky.
Okay. Now go off all the recent black WWE champions. Most of them lost to Brock Lesnar. What they did to Kofi?
Kofi, dude, don't even get me started.
BS.
On Kofi Mania.
What they did to Big E? He didn't even lose his shit cleanly. He lost in a 4-way match, and Brock won. Bobby Lashley, even though he beat Brock for it, he also lost to Brock for it as well. So they do the black wrestlers dirty. Even though you still love it, they do the black wrestler dirty, and that's something that I don't like at all. And that's been going on for a long time. Even Harvey hates R-Truth, the name R-Truth, because he said Ron Killings
was a better name when he was
Ron Killings. He was a good athlete, especially in TNA, and now according to Harvey, he's just a joke.
Yeah.
So they do black wrestlers dirty in the WWE.
They do, because look at the Street Profits. Street Profits were amazingly over, and yeah, they were kind of getting stale, but because it wasn't them. It was you guys weren't putting them in good programs, so they try to make them heel. That didn't work, and now they're just middle of the road.
No, what they should have did if they was stale, they shouldn't have made them heel. They should have broke them up. They should have broke them up.
I've been waiting for that. Montez could be a star.
They both can, to be honest.
Both of them, yeah. Dawkins too, yeah.
Right. Montez fits the black athlete thing. He fits it to a T. He's gotten into better shape. I remember he was thinner when he went NXT, but he has since gotten to the gym. He's a beast. Yeah. He is everything. He is the charisma. He's got the look. He's athletic. He's a champion in the making. He's that guy. What I've seen, and just to be fair, WWE has had runs with multiple black champions at one time. If we think at that, Bianca was a champ, Mercedes Moné, Sasha was a champ. Yeah, so they've had times with black champs. At some point, Ricochet was a champ. They've had
Trinity's been a champ multiple times.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Before you go on that though, but I'm not saying they don't give people as champs, because every name you mentioned was a champion. Not might have been the biggest champion, but was a champion. But you have to realize how they lost those championships as well. Rick lost his championship in under a minute as well. He lost to Gunther, and Gunther probably should have won, but that should have been a far better matchup. And it wasn't. Bianca losing to Becky in 33 seconds was bullshit. And after she just had one of the best women's matches with Sasha Banks that year. I'm not saying how they are doing. They're not giving people chances. I'm saying how when they do, they're not.
I hear you. What I think is interesting is we don't they don't mind black people being champions, carrying a title. Take a second and think about it. With wrestling, in the end, there's always one person at the top. There's always one star. At the height of any promotion's run, there's one star. 80s, it's Hogan. 90s, Hogan, Warrior, Brett, stuff like that. There's one guy. How many times has the face of, we'll use the WWE for an example. How many times can you think of when the WWE, the face of the company, was a black person? The face of it.
There's never one. And you can't say Rock because Rock wasn't the face. Stone Cold was the face. Stone Cold was the face. There was never a time where Rock was the face.
And here's to make it worse. The one time they could have, they didn't even have a black person as the name, as the face. They had a white guy playing a black guy to a degree. And
Cena.
If you think about it, Cena blew up because he was playing that wigger part.
Oh, yeah. He said.
Yeah, go ahead.
He was on the way out. They were going to get rid of him until he did that Halloween episode, and they found out he could rap, and they loved it, and that saved his career.
But he can't rap for shit, though.
I mean, for a white guy, you know.
Oh my God! So we want all the black things except the black part, and that's what it is, and that's what he was. He was coming out of the jerseys. He was talking like that. And then he's the champ. So for like 12 years, he was the face of the company. I'm not a big fan of Cena. I respect what he did, but it annoyed the hell out of me that there were so many black athletes that could have done what he did. If you give a guy a mic and say you can say whatever the hell you want, I think most people can do what Cena did. I think that Truth could have had a good run as champ. Because he's a better rapper than Cena was. He can dance. He does all that shucking and jiving type of stuff. He could do that thing. There were athletes, the gold standard. We had great black athletes who could.
They would have pushed him right, Booker T.
But in the end, Booker T. But he was attached to WCW, and he was never going to ever really blow up. And he didn't blow up until he was a joke. Until King Booker. Until. Yes, we are either super athlete or we're funny.
Absolutely.
Either the super athlete or the clown.
Well, and when you look at some of these wrestlers that are black, in WWE, they did not get elevated well. Like Lashley on his first run. And then he goes to TNA where he becomes one of their big champions. Had a huge run, was amazing there. And I know it's not just black wrestlers. I've seen it happen with other wrestlers that weren't black. But you see, they go to AEW, they go to New Japan, they go to TNA, they go to these other promotions, and you see them used correctly. And it's like, why couldn't WWE have did that?
That's an interesting thing. I think they liked Lashley when he came up because he had the look. Beast, cut up, monster. The problem was that they put him in that whack-ass WECW thing. Yeah. They took that talent and they moved him over. Had you kept him in WWF at that point and worked and put him in there, it still would have been interesting because, still you're going to have Brock and you're going to have all these people. He wasn't going to be top of the list. But the fact they put him in ECW because they tried to elevate that. He has the look. He's not the best on the mic. He had his issues. But at the end, they let him go. And then he goes to another company where they're like, listen, this guy's a beast. He's an athlete. Let's make him the face. He was champ how many times?
Four-time champion, I think, or 3 or 4 times.
He won, and he was beating people left and right. And he was the company for a while. Oh, yeah. And that's what it is when it comes to black athletes in terms of any sport that they play. Getting in is one. Staying there is two, and being yourself entirely without offending people is the thing.
But that's the thing too. So I'm in a black wrestling group on Facebook, and one of our big things about WWE basically, and it's a small thing with AEW as well, but especially WWE, that a lot, not say all, but a lot of black talent You gotta dance with it. I hate that
know.
with passion.
Yeah.
One of them has to be able to do
They
something.
got to dance and rap.
They gotta dance. They gotta dance. Every doing now. P.R.I.Z.E come out dancing. Sasha came out dancing. Bianca come out dancing. R-Truth come out dancing.
Yep.
Spin Rooney with
Booker T.
Booker T. Right. Like so, a lot of black wrestlers just gotta come out dancing, which is fucking sucks. You might as well just and call it a day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And speaking of the ECW thing, that's another thing I noticed. It's like if you're black and in like their G League, NXT, the old ECW, you'll get higher elevated things. They're like, oh, okay, this one's not important, so we can kind of go for it. Because even down NXT, you know, I mean, he's not the champion anymore, but you know, Trick Williams, you know, I think if he ever gets called up, he'll do good for a minute, but then he'll be doing what everybody else is doing. You know, you look at Carmelo and what he was doing in NXT and what he's doing now. You know, Obi's killing it. I think he's great, but I don't know if he'll make it to the main roster and be just as good. Or my guy,
He about
Keith
to come
Lee.
up.
I love Keith Lee, and I was so excited when he got to that roster.
Mhm.
And then they did that Bearcat
bear
bullshit.
shit. That bear
Oh man,
Terrible. They didn't know what to do with him.
he
That's
was
the
amazing.
problem.
Like when he was at that Survivor Series, and man, he went with Brock at Royal. Oh, I was waiting for that match. Brock versus Keith Lee. I wanted that so bad.
So God is truth. Keith, that's Survivor to me, and I know it's like older shit, but to me, that's probably the best Survivor Series match I've ever seen in my life. The NXT, SmackDown, the Raw.
Man,
that was from a 45 to hour stand up. Oh shit, yeah. And Keith Lee was the star of that thing.
Mm-hmm.
He was the star. I know Roman run, but he was the fucking star. And oh my god, they did Keith Lee so dirty. And my God, and I am AEW fan, but I need to be fair as well. AEW did him dirty as well.
Well, I know part of it has to do with his sickness and the heart inflammation from COVID and everything, but yeah. I saw him in AEW with the white hair and stuff. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, he's older.
Yeah, he's up there, and I don't know. And now, I mean, he's out obviously because he's got both knees replaced. I don't think he wrestles again. I think he might be.
Before that, he got the COVID. He had the same thing Bray Wyatt had, where he had the inflammation of the heart, and that's why he had to step out for quite a while. But yeah, the double knee, I don't know if it's gonna work for him to come back and be what he was.
It's so disappointing when I see black athletes come out. For example, Trick Williams, who I don't think will ever be big again. I don't think he'll ever be as big in WWF. I feel like in NXT, they pushed him too fast because they put the belt on him. Carmelo left, and they've already taken the belt off of him.
Right. They should have brought him up with Carmelo because them as a package were good.
If they have any sense, I would treat Trick Williams and Carmelo the same way you treat Sammy and KO.
Yes.
Their run, they are essentially the same. That feud. Which that feud is run from different promotions. They were feuding in ROH forever.
Oh, I'm waiting for it to happen again.
So I feel like that's what you're going to do with Trick, but they brought him out. And the reason he blew up, let's be honest, I love Trick. The theme song changed, and all of a sudden he blew up. And it shouldn't even be allowed to be anywhere near a microphone. And now every time Trick comes out, I like it. Like, I want to punch him in the face. Shut up. I want to hear the theme. I don't want to hear you, Booker. But now everybody liked it. It got viral, so he has to say it every time. These black athletes come out and they fit a specific persona. I can dance. I can, I'm super athletic, that type of thing. And a lot of times they don't get a lot of times on the mic. So
right.
Go ahead.
And that's part why I like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I'm saying I 1,000% agree. And God's truth, and I know we're trying to uplift black people, but if I ever hear Booker T on a commentary again, it'd be too early. I legitimately, God's truth, I legitimately mute NXT.
I don't want to hear him.
All meat, all bread, no water.
He doesn't bring anything positive to it. He doesn't. And I'm like, and Booker T, I can say this as an announcer, trash. He's one of my favorite wrestlers. Yes. He's one of my favorite wrestlers. I loved him in WCW. I loved he came out of Harlem Heat, by the way. Harlem Heat. He not from Harlem. That, all the whole other stuff they did with black people. I hated that. Men on a mission. Why do black people automatically have to be from the hood?
Nation domination.
Yeah, nation of domination. Racist as hell.
Much I loved it when I was young and immature. The Godfather.
The Godfather, yes, because we disrespect our women.
Yeah, because he's pimp.
Yeah, all these things, and they just slip them into these things. Okay, enough of that. Let's get our final thoughts here. In terms of black athleticism, no matter what sport, whether it's real or staged, we all fit in, or they play a part. And sadly, I think they do it because that's the way for them to excel, for them to move up. You come out and you're a wrestler. You got to come out and dance. You got to come up with your own rap song. You got to have a spin-a-rooney. Why does somebody have to have a break dance in the middle of their match? Things to slip that stuff in, and maybe that's a part of them, but it feels like it's more in terms of entertaining as opposed to just wrestlers. And then when you're black and you are just kind of almost vanilla, you don't blow up like that when you don't have all that extra stuff. That's why the gold standard never blew up.
Because you're not safe.
You're not safe. I don't want to hear about your
You're not dancing. You're not driving. You're just being an angry black man.
Yeah.
We don't want that.
But we love the angry white man, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
That's such a fact. Shelton Benjamin, who was probably the best athlete their company's ever had, and because he wasn't black, they couldn't really do anything. They brought in actress to play his mama. Like all these things, all this extra
Somebody
stuff.
called my mama. And that became so sick.
Meme.
All right, guys, let's end it.
All right.
Everybody, our final thoughts here. Who was your favorite black athlete? You can pick any one athlete from any sport. Who is the one? Maybe the one that you related to most, or the one that made you love the sport that you love the most. We'll start with D.
Oh, that's easy. Randy Moss. Randy Moss, wide receiver for the Vikings, Raiders, Patriots, 49ers, Vikings. My favorite NFL player of all time. I wasn't a wide receiver. I was a DN tight end, but just his attitude, his athletic ability, his hands, his name is legitimately a verb now. You got mossed. You got mossed. I mean, everybody knows what that is. I mean, and Randy Moss is my favorite. Period.
Josh, what about you?
You go next. I'll be right back.
Okay. For me, my favorite black athlete is going to be a football player also. And for me, it is Lawrence Taylor. I am a Giants fan to my core and the best defensive player of all time.
No argument there.
It's LT. Reggie White was amazing. There have been other great ones. That man changed how you defended that line. The man. I will take Lawrence Taylor. What comes with loving Lawrence Taylor is recognizing that he fits all of these sad stereotypes of bad black men, abusive, drug addict, all that stuff. So he fits perfectly into this. We love the athlete. And because we love the athlete, all the crap that he did on the side, that man played high. He did shit on the side. He's been arrested. We did all that stuff. We like the black athlete, the black man. Maybe we let it go by because he was so good. But that was my favorite athlete, my favorite black athlete, and he was a football player, greatest of all time.
The best thing about Lawrence Taylor is the parody of Lawrence Taylor. If you ever watch those Terry Tate. Those Terry Tate commercials. Offensive linebacker. Those were a parody of Lawrence Taylor. And Terry Tate, oh my God, they are the funniest shit ever.
Ever. So good. So good. Goodness. Josh, what about you?
I was a big fan of Jerome Bettis, especially because the soup commercials, he loved his mama. And I wasn't a big sports fan, but I watched a lot of commercials while I was watching my cartoons. And so he was kind of a household name that I knew and I liked.
Jerome Bettis out of Notre Dame, I believe. The bus.
The bus. Oh yeah.
Love Jerome Bettis.
I used to
All
love
right.
playing him in Madden and just be like, bow.
Just running people over.
Oh,
Running
yeah.
people over, man.
Right.
Okay. I think we had a good conversation, guys. This was good. And this is the kind of conversation that could go in so many directions. We could do this for hours. But I think it's just recognition of how we're perceived in sports, how we
Absolutely.
perceive seeing ourselves in sports, and how we know people look at us in sports. So I think this is a good conversation. D, where can people find you and tell us what you're up to?
You can find me in, like I said, all the Match Debaters things that's out. Review shows is live every Friday, and then out on podcast sites every Monday. We have the I Did Not Make These Rankings podcast network drafts that's live every Tuesday, then out every Friday for all the podcast sites. I am thinking about bringing back a couple of shows that people ask me to bring back. The 3 Count is one of them. I am thinking about but however, I will need different hosts for that. The 2 hosts that I had can't do it, so I will definitely need some different hosts for those. So I'll start shopping around for that, or at least doing it for the PPVs or the
Premium live events.
Premium live, the
Premium live
PLEs.
events.
Yeah, I hate that team. I'm gonna keep calling PPVs. It is what it is. But at least do it for the PPVs. Not have to do it every week, but at least do it for the big shows. And then when you guys doing Black Like Me, I still people want to bring back black casting. I still have purpose bring back black casting as well. So there's a lot of things that I think about bringing back if I have time for it. But yeah, you can find me on all social media sites, Masturbators, or Diandre Robinson. And yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. Josh, where can people find you?
So you can find me doing my thing on Fridays with Masturbators, doing the bracket review show, and sometimes some 1-on-1 and 2-on-2s. You can also find me on Tuesday nights doing the drafts with the I Did Not Make These Rankings podcast network members. But you can also find me anywhere you can find podcasts at Toontastic Journeys. Me and my co-host CJ talking about nostalgic old cartoons. We'll be having new episodes coming out in about a month, so stay tuned for that.
All right. I'm Harvey, co-host of Black Like Me with Josh. D, thanks for coming through. Also, a proud member of the I Did Not Make These Rankings podcast network. Pretty much everything D does, I'm around somewhere. I mean, I'd be, in there live, but I'm watching something. So I'm there with the drafts. This is a good, fun conversation. We're talking about being Black, how it feels, how we see ourselves, and how we're seen. Hope you're enjoying these. We'll be coming back with another episode soon. Enjoy being Black like you, and we're going to continue to be Black like me.
Peace.